interesting subject to study. And what we see in research and also in innovation, that when it comes to situation awareness, most of the research is focused in getting more information about incidents. But of course, these innovations do not address the human factor in this sense. And our FireFront project, of which today we will present the results, this addresses the human factor. It is about situation awareness, and more specifically about situation understanding. And it is a follow-up of a former project, the project FireMind, which we did almost with the same project partners, also under the lead of the Gloucestershire University, who has a lot of knowledge about this kind of subjects. So, and that FireMind project developed a tool especially focusing on the situation awareness level 1, which is, of course, do we have the correct picture of the situation? And that is why we thought that it would be very interesting to do a follow-up where we now focus on the second level, also the situation understanding, and it also focuses on the crew commanders, so on the people that the first attendants to an incident, who, of course, I think still have the most nasty task to do, to get the right picture of the incident, to understand it, and to take the right actions. So this is very important, I think. And I know from the Netherlands that at least my colleagues all think that this is very important, because 1,300 people participated in the research, crew commanders. And I think that Graham went a little bit crazy when he saw that so much data came in. So we are, of course, very proud, and it also underlines that this is a really very, very important project. And I want to thank the University of Gloucestershire, Graham and Diane and Geoff and Anna, for your lead, because without you, I think that this project would not have been there, because this leading a project and taking initiative and all the paperwork, it is an awful lot of work, and the project is co-funded by the Erasmus Plus EU program. So we know that there's a lot of paperwork involved. So thank you again very much. And we are looking forward to a next step, to a next collaboration, maybe even with more countries in this research. And of course, I would also be happy if more countries start to acknowledge what you can do when you use this tool to, for example, create awareness under the colleagues about their situation awareness, or to use it as a tool to measure the effects of an intervention, because that is, of course, what we are also looking for. The most important thing is, how can we help our crew commanders and our incident commanders to get a better understanding and a better effective mitigation of an incident? That is, I think, the main goal of this kind of projects. So again, I'm really very proud that we are here and that all these results can be presented today, and also that you are here to listen to us. And I hope that you learn a lot from this webinar and take it home and go on with also creating more awareness about the subject in your own fire and rescue service. So that's how I wanted to start. And so let's start. First, I have a few practical things, because first, we will have a general presentation done by Graham, Anna Figueras from Catalonia, and Stella Polikarpos from Estonia, Graham Edgar from the University of Gloucestershire. After that, we have a break. In the break, you will be able to use the tool, and after the break, you will be automatically assigned to a breakout room. There are 2 breakout rooms. You can see that in the program. And after the breakout rooms, we will gather together in the plenary session for questions and the closure, the wrap up of the webinar. If you have any problems, we have Monique and Deborah, my colleagues, also attending. If something goes wrong, please log in again, and they will be in the plenary space to help you out when something goes wrong. If you want to change your breakout room, that is possible. You have to first go back to the plenary room, and from there you can choose another breakout room. And Deborah and Monique will be there all the time to help you. Please have some patience, because when we go from the break to the breakout rooms, it may take some seconds for you to enter the room physically or not. Virtually, because of course the system is maybe not so fast as we would like it to be. So I wish you a very good webinar today, and well, I will pass the word to, I think, to Graham for the general presentation about the FireFront project, together of course with Stella and Anna. So lots of success and have a good session.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thanks for thanks for hosting this event, and thanks for your support all the way through. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, just okay. First of all, just say a few general things about situation awareness and why it's important, really. So. In any task, any safety critical task, you tend to have the issue that things can go wrong very quickly. Things can change, and things that were okay can suddenly become not so good. So keeping situation awareness at all times is quite an important issue. And as Ricardo was saying, what we are trying to do is develop tools for measuring and raising awareness of the issues in situation awareness, but also now taking it a bit further to look at situation understanding. And at this point, I will hand over to Anna, who will say a little bit more about the situation awareness and situation understanding.
Okay, Johan. Okay, situational awareness is the psychological process that allows people to identify and select the true or false information in order to take the correct decisions. In the emergency area, in the emergency work that we are working, this process is a critical aspect in decision-making process. In FireFront, we have been working in the difference, as Ricardo said before, about situational awareness and situational understanding. Remember that situational awareness is related to the mental mapping that we do of an event or in a scenario that is created by all the information that we select from this scenario, from this situation. And in the situational awareness, the main psychological aspects that are working are working memory and attention. On another side, situational understanding is the comprehension, what we understand about these elements that we are selecting. I like to say that the situational awareness are the puzzle pieces, the little pieces that we have to do a puzzle, and the situational understanding is when we see how the puzzle will be in a conjure or in a big way, and we can connect all the little pieces in order to do this puzzle. Graham, the next one. Okay, and both concepts, as you can see, are very related, are linked. And situational awareness, as Ricardo said before, we have 3 levels. Level 1, perception, level 2, comprehension, and level 3, prediction. Perception is a multisensory level, and where we keep all the elements from the environment, we collect all the relevant information. Level 2 is comprehension, is understand what is happening. And level 3, prediction, is the projection in the future. Understand what can happen with all the information that we have with all this comprehension. And these 3 levels are very, very related with the understanding of the situation, the event, or the scenario, and allow us to make decisions to solve the problem that we have in front. Graham, the floor is yours when you want.
Thank you. Oops. Thanks, Anna. That was lovely. I'll just say a little bit about sort of where we came from and why we decided this was so important to look into. One of the foundations of psychology is the idea that there is a lot of information in the world. It's a complicated world. It moves fast. There's a lot to deal with. And also, one of the most fundamental things is that we simply cannot deal with all that information at the same time. So we are faced with a choice really about how much information we use and how much we reject, and what sort of mental model, as Anna was saying, what sort of mental model that we build of the world around us. If we get the wrong model, then we will make mistakes. And we have looked at this sort of these sort of issues in a number of contexts, and that provides a background for this project. So just to give you a couple of examples, we actually started the project in the sort of military domain, command and control. This is an amazing facility that we used to have in a company I worked for. It's a terrain model, actually part of West Germany. But those little bits there are houses. It's a huge section of West Germany, modelled in 1/300th scale. And we just fought a little war game over it and measured people's situation awareness, just situation awareness at that time, while they were commanding their forces. And there was a lot going on, a lot of information. And what we found was that people couldn't process all the information, and they would start to miss things. We actually had one of our commanders involved in a friendly fire incident. He was about to shoot up his own side, despite the fact that, for example, we're using real little model tanks. And I think his tanks were painted grey and the enemy tanks were painted green. Even that basic level of perception he had missed. And so we started to think this was something worth studying. And we did use the same approach there that we are using now. And we could have predicted it afterwards, but the data that we got explained why this commander had behaved in that way and almost committed a friendly fire incident. Slightly different scenario. We also looked at obstetrics. So baby delivery, and this was in our local hospital, where they were doing routine monitoring of mothers and babies, looking at the baby's heart rate and all this sort of thing. Very routine, but they had an immense amount of information coming in, phone calls, people interrupting, people coming up to talk to them, things like that. And what we found was that they had so much information coming in, they were becoming overloaded. And what was happening was that they were actually missing things. They were forgetting what they had done. So it was an entirely routine procedure, and we watched them do it, and we recorded what they did, and then we asked them what they did. And they were convinced that they had done crucial parts of the procedure when in fact they'd left them out. They'd done them 1,000 times before, but not on that day. So again, so much information, and they were overloaded. The outcome was we actually had them reroute the phone calls. Excuse me. And that made the problem much less. Okay, so that brings us to the FireMind project, which was the predecessor to this project, where we started to look at these issues and looking at measuring situation awareness and this use of information, how people decide what information to use and how much information they use, and that was the FireMind project. Many of the same partners as we have now that Ricardo mentioned. But we also had, I think, Poland in there as well. Excuse me. And that project then developed into the project we're talking about now, which is the FireFront project. And again, Ricardo has told you all of the partners, but the big change was to move from measuring just situation awareness, just knowing what information is out there, where things are, that sort of thing, to measuring whether people can understand the situation that they are in. And just introduce the the FireFront team showing good situation awareness. Unfortunately, not all the people are in the photo, but I think I have all the names in the list there. So it's quite a large team, and people have joined as we've gone along. I'll just give you a little bit of technical background to the way this project works, but this, if you're not interested in the technical background, then now would be a good time to go and get a drink. What we use in the project is based on something called signal detection theory. All it is, it comes from radio. Way back in the early days of radio, trying to work out whether you could pick out a signal, a voice or whatever, from the background noise in a radio transmission. All we have done is to take the same basic process, the same basic method, and apply it to situation awareness. And what we do for situation awareness is to see whether people can tell the difference between true and untrue information. So now the true information is a signal and the untrue is a noise that sort of muffles it. For the situation understanding, that was a little more tricky. But what we've done for that is to see whether people can tell the difference between what is relevant to achieving their task and what is irrelevant. The idea is that if people can work out what information is relevant to help them achieve their task, they must have gathered the right amount of information, they must have understood it, and they must have been able to work out what is likely to happen next. Otherwise, they cannot know what information will be relevant and what won't. And that is the basis of the tool. So situation awareness is telling the difference between true and untrue. Situation understanding is telling the difference between relevant and irrelevant information. And so we've taken that through to the sort of the firefighting domain, and you will be able to try out the tool at the end of this presentation. So we will leave it for the moment. It won't give you too much information, but we can measure, well, we can actually measure 6 different measures. But one of the crucial measures, and that differentiates this tool from most other tools, in fact, all other tools, I think, for measuring situation awareness, is it has a measure in it which we call bias. And this is a measure of people's tendency to either accept or reject information as true, or accept or reject it as irrelevant. So showing 2 firefighters there looking basically at the same scene. This was a hotel in the UK that went up in flames a few years ago now. I was actually booked in at the time, but I don't think it was my fault. But people in the same situation, so much information, and they almost have a choice. They can either sort of tunnel down, focus down like the firefighter on the left, and look at a small amount of information, taking a small amount, and try and really give it a lot of effort on that small amount of information. Or you can take the approach of the firefighter on the right and try and take everything in. This is like our people in the baby delivery ward, try and take everything in, but you are going to have a lot of information coming in and you will basically have lower resolution. But it does also explain why you can have 2 people in the same situation with different situation awareness, different mental model, and make different decisions. So we can also measure situation awareness, the actual situation awareness, how well they know what's going on. Their perceived situation awareness, we do that by taking confidence ratings, you'll see when you do the scenario, and that's how good they think they are. And it's very interesting to look at the comparison between how good people, or how well people really are doing, and how well they think they are doing. And of course, you have corresponding measures for understanding as well. So actual situation understanding, perceived situation understanding, and so on. Okay. So that brings us to the actual project, and the sort of question really, can we actually help with this? Can we measure these aspects of situation awareness and situation understanding? And I think we can, because we've been doing this now for quite a few years. The FireMind project went very well. This project is going very well, and we get data that does seem to, well, to put it simply, it seems to make sense. We can explain different things, different aspects of people's behavior, the decisions they make from the sort of data that we get. So we think, and coming in as psychologists, that we think we can do something useful, but only if we work closely, of course, with the end users. So these are the measures that we get from FireFront. We'll demonstrate them when we come to the break, because rather than go through them all, but we can quantify the actual situation awareness, the perceived situation awareness, and the bias, this tendency to zoom in or sort of scope out. And we can do the same for situation understanding. So we can get a score, and the score can go from -100 to +100 on all of the measures, so they're sort of nicely matched. Just out of interest, one of the interesting things that this measure can give us, it can give us negative situation awareness. This is where people don't just not know what's going on, they misunderstand what's going on. They've got an awareness of the wrong situation. And that, by the way, is what we got with the person I was talking about earlier that tried to shoot his own side. He had negative situation awareness, and that's one of the interesting things that we can get from this tool, which is rather interesting. Okay, give you some more details now about how the tool actually runs, or how it's running in FireFront. We can run it in all sorts of different scenarios, but I'll hand over to Stella now to talk about how it might run in FireFront.
Hello from my side to everyone. If we click, we can see the video, and this is how the tool is also operated. It's not the same as a baseline video, but the videos are constructed using Xware on C. And you will see the video, and then there will be pop-up of question, and there are two kinds of questions. One question is about situational awareness, and normally this question, not normally, but always, this question has a true and false possibility for you to answer. And to move on in the scenario, you also need to always answer the question, how confident are you that you got this answer correct? And there is a 4-point scale. So if you're very confident, then you put 4. And if you're not so sure, you're just guessing, then you put a lower score based on your feeling. And as it is time critical, the time is under there, and you can see your seconds clicking away. And when you answer the questions, you should think that you are there not as a citizen, but a first level incident commander. So if we take the next slide, it's very important that you understand that you are, the next slide, please. You are the first level incident commander, because your question is going to be asked. You're going to be played videos and questions asked, and then the other questions are about situational understanding. And when you answer the probes about situational understanding, you have to think that would that information be relevant for first level incident commander, so a crew leader? Is that information relevant to him or her? So this is how the tool is constructed. Maybe this information could be relevant for you personally because you're a police officer and you think that police should know this. But the tool is constructed in such a way that you should play a role of first level incident commander who is a rescue service person. So there will be like questions, is this information relevant or irrelevant? So you need to do the same. You need to answer, is it relevant or irrelevant for first level incident commander? And then you also need to answer during the time limit given to you, how confident you are. So there is a same 4-point scale. And if you're very certain, just click 4. When you're not sure, then click a lower score. Like when you really have no idea at all, then you put 1 point. So please bear that in mind, that there are a lot of probes to answer, and enjoy the watching the videos and imagine yourself to being on the scene as incident commander and solving this as a real incident. Because if you get more engaged in doing this, your scores will actually show yourself more exactly what in time critical situation your bias will be. So you will see 2 kind of bias, and I think it's very interesting to do this scenario. We have tested this scenario with different languages, with different people who are firefighters and who are non-firefighters, and the feedback is generally very good. So please hang on until the end so you see your results yourself on the screen. Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. Okay, just to summarize, those are the measures that we can get from the scenario, and we will give you a chance to do the scenario. You will see a series of videos and the probes just as Stella described, and you will, as Stella advises, if you go to the end of the scenario, you will get feedback on your performance. It will give you your score, and it will give you some feedback, sort of individualized as to what that score means. So give it a go. If you want to have a go, here is the link. It all runs over the web. There's also a QR code for your phone, but it won't work on your phone unless you have at least 800 by 600 resolution. It won't work on my phone. So the top link there is the one for the, let's think, left-hand drive. And you can do the scenario in either Catalonian, Danish, Dutch, English, or Estonian. I think just about everybody in the Netherlands has done this scenario. So if you want, you can either have some time off, or if you want to try it in a different language, or if you wish, you can try it driving on the other side of the road. The lower link there is the English version, but with right-hand drive. We still insist on driving on the other side of the road to everybody else. So if you want to try try the English right-hand drive version, there it is there. I'll post these in the chat in just a moment, so you can get them more easily. But if you want to go away, have a go at the scenarios, and then we will meet back here as specified in the program. So thanks for your time for the moment.
Yes, thank you, Graham, Stella, and Anna. So now we will have a break of 30 minutes, and at the end of the break, you will be automatically assigned to a breakout room. And there's 2 breakout rooms. In the first breakout room, there will be the presentation from Estonia, from Stella, from the Netherlands, and from Catalonia, Anna and Hans Hazebroek. And in the second breakout room, there will be the presentation from Plot, Frank from Belgium, Liban Holm from Denmark, and Diane and Geoff Salis from the UK, from the University of Gloucestershire. So don't worry if you are assigned to one breakout room and you wanted to know what is said in the other one, because everything will be recorded and will be available after the webinar to watch. If you decide that you want to change your breakout room in the meanwhile, then first go back to the general room, the plenary room, and then choose the other breakout room. So I wish you lots of success. Try the tool, please, and and we will see each other after the breakout rooms, and that will be around 16:10, because after the breakout rooms, where you have 3 presentations of 15 minutes, there will be a break of 15 minutes. So I wish you a lot of success. I hope that you learn a lot in the breakout rooms, and we will see each other later on. Thank you.